we're going to go over some simple canning basics so that you can have a safe and healthy canning season.
And this corn, that corn's all tasseling well before it should have. We'll show you why, what we're going to do to fix it, and how you can prevent it in your yard. All that and more coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is sponsored in part by, for all your non-GMO, heirloom, organic, vegetable, flowers, and herb seeds, visit dollarseed.com. Sioux Growing Supply, located in Wausau, Wisconsin, focusing on certified leaf compost, an excellent amendment for poor soil. With their new garden blend, improving soil structure in clay and sandy soil, great for creating new garden beds. Also available from Sioux's, pre-filled trays and pots with professional potting soil mix or organic rice hull-based potting soil mix. Bag and bulk of certified leaf compost also available. Visit SiouxGrowingSupply.com. Don't poison your soil with municipal water. Attach a body, mind, and soil hose and filter. Free shipping exclusively through the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Just click on the body, mind, and soil icon. Authentic Haven brand soil conditioner for the home gardener. Easy to brew, 100% organic. Visit ManureTea.com. Rain Reserve. Reserving your rain, preserving our future. Rain Reserve, manufacturing of rainwater capturing capabilities. Visit rainreserve.com and use coupon code RAIN2016 to save 10% on your total purchase.
Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Holly Baird. Today we're talking about some basics of canning. Canning is a science, and you need to keep that in mind whether you've been canning for the first time or you've been canning for many years. It's a food science. You're going to consume these items. You want to make sure you do it safely. So you want to follow guidelines such as from the National Center for Home Food Preservation, your local extension office if you have a master canner in your area, or even through bulk canning. Those are all some great resources for you to use. So when it comes to canning, you need a canner. So we have two canners here. We have the water bath canner. This is for low acid food or for high acid foods, such as tomatoes, salsa, chutney, jam, jelly, things like that. Different things that you're adding acid to, such as vinegar, lemon juice, or even adding sugar to. Whole fruits as well. This has a rack on the inside. This will hold 9 quart jars. So that is our water bath canner. Then for low acid foods, such as just regular green beans, carrots, potatoes, squash, pretty much corn, you want to use a pressure canner. This pressure canner, it's got the pressure valve and everything else. We had to make a rack for ours, and it holds 4 quart jars. Now, if you want, say you only want to buy 1 canner, you could use this for water bath canning. You wouldn't tighten the lid. You would just place the lid on loosely and use it as a water bath canner. But if you're going to do a lot of canning, you may want to invest in something bigger since this only holds 4 quart jars. Now you want to think about your jars. So we have different size jars here. Half gallon, quart, pint, half pint or 8 ounce, and 4 ounces. So what you want to do with the half gallon, you can can juice such as pear juice or grape juice or apple juice that's safely canned in a half gallon jar, or we use it for dry storage. Quart jars are good for whole fruits or portions of fruit. You can do pasta sauce, tomato soup, different soups, vegetables, things like that work well in the quart jar. If you have a large family, you eat a lot of salsa, you could do a larger portion of salsa in the quart jar. This is for smaller things, like smaller portions of sauce. Maybe you have a smaller family and you don't only want to do like a pint of spaghetti sauce. That's good. Or you can do salsa. You can do larger portions of jam, smaller portions of fruit or vegetables. It's good for the pint jar. Half pint, good for jam. Again, smaller portions of different sauces, We make cowboy candy. We don't want a lot of it, so we make it in the smaller portion here. This is good for mustards, jams, especially if you do a lot of gift canning. It's fun for that because then you can give them a kind of a smaller, fun gift size. Now we have some different tools here that are helpful in your canning process. So we have our funnel. This is nice. Put your funnel in your jar. You take your ladle and you scoop your stuff in there, and then it doesn't get everywhere. This ladle we bought, it's good for canning because it has this oval shape, so when you go around the pot, around the edges, it really catches and gets into that bottom portion. We have our jar lifter. This is nice for getting the jars out of the canner. So, for example, you lift your jar, you put it in the canner. You're not exposing yourself or anybody to any super hot stuff. Makes it a lot easier to get the jar in and out of your canner. A lot safer. Definitely recommend that. You can buy these as a kit. And then we have our magnet wand, good for picking up your lids. So speaking of lids, it's a two-piece lid. So you have this lid part that you want to throw away when you're done using it, or you can use it for like dry storage. And it goes on there like this. You put your ring on, and when you only want to finger tighten it. You don't want to like really crank on it, just finger tight is fine. So then when you bring it out, it's going to seal. You'll hear the pop. You'll know it's sealed. When you're ready to store it, you take your ring off and you put it in storage just like this. So the reason why you want to do that is obviously then you can reuse your rings when you're canning. But also, say something happens in here, there's some spoilage. If you left that ring on, you would take the chance of the jar bursting. Or you also take the chance of, if that ring's on there, if there was some spoilage and this opened up, it might reseal itself and then you're eating spoiled food, and that's not good. So that's another good reason why to beware of keep reusing the rings. So there we have it. There are some good basics of canning. Just keep in mind, again, to be safe and knowledgeable and use good resources.
Okay, so we're gonna make a Swiss chard cheese roll-up. This is really easy and it's simple to do. We've got the grill already heated. Now you can do this in the microwave too, but it gives a little more of a hit whenever you do it on the grill. So we've got Swiss chard growing here. We've got some white fork hood, and we've got some red rainbow chard. So what we wanna do is we wanna get the biggest leaves, and we're just gonna cut it back to right there, and just we can just trim that off there. So I'm just gonna do 2 of them right now. Now what you're wanting to do, you want to make sure they're clean. They're clean, they look clean, they're good clean, they're grown in the garden, organic. What you want to do is take your favorite type of shredded cheese. We're going to use some white shredded cheese here. And I'm going to put it in the center and roll it up the best way you can find. It's not going to roll up that perfect because the bigger the leaves, the better it's going to work. So we're just going to take a toothpick, run it through, and we'll go another toothpick there. And we're just going to set it on the grill and kind of let that all melt together. And it'll just take it won't take long at all. And I'll get this other one prepped here. Okay, so they're about ready here. Kind of want to be careful, and you can roll these up. You can let them melt even more. This one here we roll a little tighter, and you can add as much or as little cheese as you want, and you can pull them. Be sure you pull the toothpicks off, and you got your own Swiss chard cheese roll up, and it's a really nice treat. Again, you can do this on the grill or in the microwave. So we're in the sister-in-law's backyard garden, and this is the corn bed that we've worked a lot of material into it. Coffee grounds, leaves, certified leaf compost from Sue's, and we planted heirloom corn here, sweet corn. Now we've got a lot of things going on here that are not expected. We don't want it to happen this way, and that being it's tasseling. Yeah, this one's tasseling, this one here is tasseling, which tasseling is good, but this corn is 24, 30, 35 inches tall, and some of it's still in the back here is about 5 inches tall, all curled up extremely tight. Now the curling is not a concern necessarily because field corn, the big ag corn, the genetically modified corn, as well as any corn, will curl on very extremely hot days, and or if it's lacking in moisture in the soil. So this is kind of typical. You just need to water it and it will release. In the evenings it will open back up. So that's not a big deal. What is a big deal is the corn tasseling far before it is ready to get to that stage. This corn should be about my height, about 5.5, 6 foot tall, in that range before it starts to tassel. What is occurring here is watering has not occurred in this garden, and it's very dry, and the corn is very stressed. And with any plant, corn is more susceptible than most plants. It'll instantly start putting a top on, a tassel, and try to pollinate. Now let's step back a minute. This is a tassel, and this is the whole portion or the whole key to a corn maturing and getting a good ear of corn. You see here, this is all pollen, and that's why we grow it in a block. If it does, by growing in a block, if all these plants are at the same height, at the same growth stage, then this pollen will fall on the hairs that are being developed on the side of the plant, and each one of those hairs represents a kernel in the cob, and if all of those hairs are pollinated, all the kernels on the cob are formed, and you get a good piece of corn, a good full ear corn. But what's happening here is it's stressed out, so it's immediately putting a tassel on. It's going to produce a little teeny tiny corn or cob just to try to generate some seed to carry on its natural traits for the next generation. So what we can do here, or what we need to do here, there's no fixing this problem, what we have here. The solution that is the answer to the problem is ripping the corn out and replanting it and keeping the moisture to it. It's not a nutrient issue because we've dug this soil, we've worked this soil very heavily. The issue is it's a lack of moisture and the stress that the corn causes. Now this kind of happens in big ag with the genetically modified corn, but not to the extreme, because the genetically modified corn has a lot of the genetics worked into how the bio companies want the corn to produce in a certain manner. Yes, it does need moisture, but they can change the genetics to where it's a little more drought tolerant than this non-genetically modified heirloom sweet corn is that you and I purchase from Dollar Seed or other reputable seed companies. So what we're going to do here, we've talked to the homeowner. What we're going to do is we're going to rip all of this corn out. Now this would be a perfect opportunity if you had chickens to feed that to the chickens, or if you have livestock. And we're going to divide this bed in half. We're going to do 4 rows of sweet corn. That should give us a good enough block to get good pollination. And then we're going to do about 3 or 4 rows of the purple pod royalty beans. We've already got some here, and they're purple pods, and when you cook them they lose that purple tint to it. It's not a genetically modification of any sort, it's just the natural being of the bean. And so we'll have some mature beans there, and then these will gradually work to maturity as those begin to die out. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to begin to work this bed and then reestablish it, because we do have plenty of time before our average first frost date here to get corn and to get some more beans. So that's what we're going to work on. So with that being said, we're going to rip it out, plant the corn like we normally plant it, about 1 inch deep, put the beans about 1/2 inch deep, water it in real good, and keep it moist. With this particular area, we don't have a lot of natural mulch, so we're going to have to keep the water to the soil. So if your corn is doing this, the answer is to rip it out, feed it to your livestock, put it in a compost pile, start again, because the corn is stressed. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next time for more organic gardening and food preserving. I'm Joey Baird, and this has been the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.